Good evening, guys. This is going to be my discussion board for Unit 5. The video that I chose is the one with the elderly doing dance therapy. This video really spoke to me because it made me think about my granny and my grandfather. They met actually, well, he's not my biological grandfather, but he's the grandfather that I know or knew. They met at a dance little, I don't want to call it a club, but they used to have some kind of place where I guess, and they might still have, like, people just go and dance. I know it sounds like a club, and I know y'all think I'm crazy, but they described it as more of like a meeting place where they just used to play music and dance. Like, it was almost like a club for people who wanted to dance, if that makes any sense. But anyway, they talked about how much they loved it then, and of course they were both younger and able, but in their old age, they couldn't do things like that anymore. But my granny was sick quite a bit. She had to have lots of surgeries, and they really took a toll on her afterwards. And she would go to the therapy floors afterwards and just hate, the activities that they were made to do. Like, I know one time she said they had to stack cans on top of each other and color pictures and do things like that. And she just hated it. She felt like it was the most boring thing ever. So I was looking at this video and thought, oh my goodness, she would have loved to have had a chance to have like a dance therapist come in and work with her and, just kind of get that old feeling back. Because I think sometimes elderly people may feel that just because they're old, people assume that they are forgotten about, or they can't do anything, or they're too limited in their abilities. But as you saw, if you watched the video, they were able to still sit down. They didn't have to overexert themselves. A lot of it was upper body movement. And I'm sure that those who are able could have done some lower body movement, but she was able to make it so that everybody felt like they could have a part in it. I really respect, the way that those women described how they felt about it. One said that she felt like it was an escape. And that's a lot, for someone who's up in age. You can only imagine the things that they think about. We have our brains full of things all the time, and we're, in our 20s and 30s. And, some of these women, are pushing 60, 70, 80 maybe, and think about the loads that they carry. So just that little escape with the dance movement, I think, was really powerful for some of them. At the end, one of the women said, if you don't move, you'll get fat and lazy. So she was even thinking of the physical aspect. And the therapist discussed how, dance therapy could help cognitively, spiritually, physically, emotionally. It tackles a lot of areas. And so I think not just for elderly, but for any age, dance therapy could be very beneficial. And thinking about how I could use it with my clientele, I plan to work with high school, college students. So I think this could be a really great, tool to use. Obviously, I would change it up a bit because they can move a lot more. So I would try to bring in some of the music that they like, some that they don't, maybe just to challenge them. And I actually kind of put together a little activity that I'll tell you more about in a moment. But dance therapy with my age group could be, an icebreaker. It could be something as small as that, or it could be a really intense session where they're actually choreographing their own little pieces that reflect what they're feeling, or maybe an emotional event that they went through. And that could be a way of getting it out rather than having to write about it or tell about it. They could just dance about it, if that makes sense to you. And I could teach how, when you choreograph things, when you create it, it reflects your feelings. Just like writing a paragraph, creating a piece of dance is just as reflective and expressive as writing, a novel or whatever. Dancing is something that I've always wanted to take up, especially as a child. I wanted to take dance, but it is expensive and we couldn't afford it, so I didn't get that opportunity. But I cheered with a lot of girls who took it, and just to watch them be able to take, what they learned and incorporate it into cheers, or sometimes they would have recitals at the school with their dance companies, and just watching them was amazing. And so I would want to challenge students, to watch. One way I can modify it is to have them watch different types of dance. I typically work with students who are minority, African American, Hispanic, because the schools that I work at, that's the majority. But they could benefit from watching ballet, tap, jazz, contemporary, all these other different kinds of dance, even ballroom. I mean, anything that shows expression, they would benefit from watching because it takes them outside of their comfort zone, which is sometimes good. And even, watching hip hop and, what they like could be just as important as well. So for my activity, I kind of combined what we did in class on Monday with our little activity at the beginning with the dance activity. So in my journal, I really wasn't able to draw it, so I just wrote it out because Dr. Crow said we could just kind of make it straightforward. So the title of it is Express Yourself, and I'm sorry this is backwards, but I don't know how to fix it any other way, so I'm still going to read it to you. The materials, none. They don't need anything except their bodies. The instructions, it would be similar to what we did in class. So they would state their name, my name is, and then state how they feel. So it would be my name is blank and I feel blank. So when we did it, we had to say, my name is blank and I did such and such this weekend. Or we told what we did. So they would tell how they feel at that moment. Then it says, whatever you feel, you have to have a movement for. So, I would tell them that at the beginning. Whatever you say you feel, be able to come up with a movement for it. So example, my name is Jessica and I feel crazy. And I inserted the funky chicken dance. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but if you haven't, Google it or YouTube it. It's funny and it's really, really stupid. So if I felt crazy, that might be something I would do. And so then they would go around the room and do others' dances and, the same way that we did it in class. So if I said my name is Jessica and I feel crazy, I would do the dance. And then the group would say, Jessica feels crazy and do the dance. And by the time we went around the room, imagine the different types of things we would have seen or done. So not only will it give them a chance to kind of release a little bit, it lets them get out how they feel. So if they feel like banging their head against the wall, then they could express that in some kind of way. This would by no means have to be, a very structured thing. They could pick any kind of little dance they wanted, because I believe that, when you put movement to music, it is dance. It doesn't have to have a title or a specific type of dance, but, I don't want the conception to be that, oh, I can't do anything, formal. It doesn't matter. It's all about you expressing what you feel at that moment. So, and you could even, extend the activity by, having them create a piece. And that could be difficult for some, but I think it would be just as rewarding to be able to express themselves in such a way that didn't involve words or writing. Because I think that gets so worn out, especially with them being in school already. The opportunity to just move would be great. And it might even inspire some of them to take up dance if, they had the financial ability to do it. And some high schools do have dance as an elective. But a lot of students surprisingly won't take it because they think it means they have to have had some formal training. And some schools may require that, but I know when I was in high school, we had dance and we actually, choreographed things and we learned different types of styles in there. So maybe it could inspire some to seek it out further. So that's my activity. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend.